Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. I hope you're doing well. Let's dive right into this, which is a little controversy surrounding Kash Patel. We referenced this a little bit during his hearing where he was asked about stuff like this, but now we have the latest story, which relates to him. This is Kash Patel right there, and his girlfriend there. Okay. And this does not have to do with, her name is Alexis Wilkins, the conspiracy theories about her being a spy, which I find funny because it's the most insulting thing to be like, that's your girlfriend? She must be Mossad. Wait, there's no way. What? There's just no way, right? That's such a funny reaction from people to start going, she must be a spy. That would be the only reason that these two would be together. But I don't believe that. I believe love is love. I believe that even Kash Patel, to some people, can be the most beautiful thing imaginable. As I'm saying that, I feel a little silly. But the story is that he has been doing a lot of potentially gratuitous travels on the taxpayer dime, while, of course, now the government's shut down. And I'm less interested in the story itself as the blatant hypocrisy. We've gone over this recently in a bonus show where I remember for years, anytime a Biden administration official would take a flight that MAGA didn't like, and it was on a government jet or a private jet, even if there were perfectly reasonable reasons, they would lose it. See, these elitists, they fly around private while you suffer. And now I've heard nothing from those same characters. I'll give you the examples when Pete Buttigieg had to argue with Brett Baer over this, but first, The Independent reporting FBI Director Kash Patel traveled to Pennsylvania State University over the weekend to watch his girlfriend perform at a wrestling event, according to a recent report that cited flight records. Now, she wasn't wrestling, if that's what you thought. The nature of the performance was singing. She's a country singer, apparently. Patel appeared alongside his partner, country singer Alexis Wilkins, at the Real American Freestyle event at the school, prompting some internet sleuths to inquire about how he got there. They posted photos. A jet registered to the Department of Justice appeared to have taken this flight. Roughly 2 hours. Over the few months, the FBI director has faced criticism from lawmakers for what they believe is overutilizing a government aircraft for personal reasons. Now, again, please hold, because I want to show you if you're going, he's flying wherever he wants. Government shut down. We're having a difficult time flying because of all the FAA problems. Just hold. To me, this is much more about the hypocrisy. There's just never one standard. We're going to get to that again today with the Trump boys doing whatever they want corruption-wise after years of the Hunter Biden stories. But before any of that, I heard singer. I didn't know this Alexis Wilkins figure was a singer. That would be a long play if she was a spy, starting a whole music career, befriending Kash Patel, all in the hopes that he'd become the FBI director. But, okay. And I was thinking, is this going to be another Laura Trump situation where we get to see... I never insult people singing. As someone who has sung a lot in my life, I don't want to be insulted, so I don't insult people, mostly. Except for, what was that famous national anthem? But you know who I'm talking. Yeah.
Was it Fergie?
Fergie, yeah. Say that you can make fun of. But I was excited that maybe we would pull up a video and the singing wouldn't be great. But I hate to admit this. This was her impromptu singing the national anthem in an airport. Here we go. Let's see. Which, a little bit strange to grab the "we are now boarding flight," blah, 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 and start singing in it, which is what this is. But just to give a sense of what he was going to hear.
The bombs bursting. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing does that star-spangled banner yet wave.
Maybe she's a spy. That was a little too good. That was actually good. Dang it. That really ruins my day. Mehdi said this would be a weeks-long scandal, a gate, if a close ally of Biden, unqualified for the job of FBI director, was installed in the job and then used the FBI private jet to attend his girlfriend's concerts. But it's the Trump era, so it's just a Wednesday, and all will be forgotten. If you just started, we have some people who are like, hey, I'm 15, watch your show, just started tuning to politics, and if you're one of those people, or of any age, but you just are dipping your toe into the political waters, it'll be tough for you to feel the rage that anyone who's kept up for a while with politics feels when this type of event takes place, because we know, because we saw it. We saw it so many times, the rage from MAGA media when the exact situation, or much less, would happen, but it was a Biden official. And they would call it the greatest waste of taxpayer dollars, etc. He was criticized, Patel, for flying on the jet to also UFC games, matches, fights. Jaden, you can put this up. And I just thought this was funny. He's like, no one's talking to. Oh, wait, someone's talking to him. Never mind. But he's just kind of there. He's just there. Hey, I'm at the UFC match. Yes. Haha. So cool. I'm the FBI director. Ken Delanian said, way back in 2022, House Republicans accused Chris Wray of misusing the FBI jet. And he was there living it up. Let me show you, before we watch him getting grilled during a hearing about stuff like this, how Pete Buttigieg was treated when he took a trip nothing like the Patel one that's purely personal, reportedly. But you'll hear him explain it, of a very different nature, and they tried to make a scandal over this.
Also brought your husband, Chasten, on a military aircraft to attend a sporting event in Netherlands. Was that
That's quite a spin to put on.
No. But was that reimbursed? Because that was.
Look at that headline. Pete Buttigieg brought husband Chasten on military aircraft to attend sporting event in Netherlands. When you hear the real story, you're going to be really PO'd. A sporting event, just some they went, you know what, Chasten, let's go watch what would you watch in the Netherlands? A game of some sort there. That's what the headline makes it sound like. That's why he said quite a spin, because get ready, you're going to hear the context.
Was that?
Did I say subscribe yet? I'm so sorry. I will stop interrupting this clip after you subscribe, just by clicking that subscribe button. Check to make sure you are. Sometimes people report that they get unsubscribed. Very bizarre. Greatly appreciate it. It's completely free. You are the best.
What a spin to put on.
No. But was that reimbursed? Because that was one of the controversies with the price.
I led a presidential delegation to support American wounded warriors and injured service members, the Invictus Games, as has been tradition for many years. I led the American delegation as one of the great honors of my time in this job. And the diplomatic protocol on a presidential delegation is that the principal is often accompanied by their spouse. It was a great trip. It was incredible. It was also a few weeks into the Ukraine war. So we had a chance at the U.S. Embassy to engage with the Ukrainian competitors, also wounded service members. Some of them went from the games back to the battlefield to fight for their country. I also took the opportunity to sit with the Prime Minister of the Netherlands to look at port infrastructure, Dutch port infrastructure. But here's what I want you to understand. Before me, it was the Secretary of the Army under President Trump who took that trip with his wife. Before that, it was Mrs. Trump as First Lady who went to the Invictus Games. Before that, Mrs. Obama did the same thing.
Sure.
And I guess the question on my mind is, if no one's raising questions about why Secretary Esper and his wife led that delegation, and as well they should have, then why is it any different when it's me and my husband?
Understood. So the last thing I wanted to ask you.
Oof, Brett. Oof. So it wasn't some random sporting game. They were going to go watch some people do croquet. The croquet? I don't know. It sounds like it could be. And it was a personal trip. And then they get this whole... It was... You heard him explain it. Presidential delegation to the Invictus Games. Tradition. These other people had done it too. But anytime it was Pete... it was MAGA fodder because they could go, yeah, but Pete brought his husband. Can you imagine? But now I don't hear a peep from them about the Kash Patel stuff. And it's not just girlfriend to hear her sing. Admittedly, sounds like some good singing. Also other stuff. UFC events. I think he saw a hockey game.
You know, on the weekend of, according to flight tracker data, on the weekend of March 7th, an FBI plane flew round trip from D.C. to Las Vegas, and you attended a UFC fight with Mel Gibson. And I'll show you that. Is that you, and is that true?
Yeah, you want to know the difference? I live in Las Vegas. I'm allowed to go home. I didn't leave.
Let me just say, did you hear that? He went to a UFC fight with Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson. I'd rather play croquet than go to a UFC game. I would fight with Mel Gibson. Actually, UFC is pretty entertaining, but the Mel Gibson part I'm taking issue with. Are you looking for Mel Gibson lore? Scratching his neck. You know, you think we came from chimpanzees? I don't buy it.
The congressional hearing early on an FBI jet to dodge questions.
All right. Then on April 5th, you attended a hockey game in New York City. You don't live there, right?
No, I don't.
By the way, everyday FBI agents who are assigned in Washington don't get to fly home on a private jet.
Well, this is a great point. Do you know why I have to use a private jet? Because Congress made it mandatory.
Okay. In April 5th, well, we didn't make it mandatory that you go to UFC games with Mel Gibson.
Are you telling me I can't go home?
You know, you got to use some judgment here.
So when I'm at home, I can't do what I'm doing when I go home. Everybody else is allowed to go home.
What about the hockey game? What about the hockey game? Now, again, actually, I could probably flash you back to some bonus show coverage we did about a Kristi Noem story. And just ignore, it's the bonus show. I get a little bit more distracted there. Ignore that I go on a multi-minute rant about how much I wish that I could fly in a private jet. That's unrelated. I'm just trying to be honest that may be part of me getting upset when I see these stories and I'm just personally jealous. But setting that aside, the hypocrisy angle I think is a really important one. But I do point out here that I do value our elected officials having safe, effective, logistically sound ways to travel. And if in many cases that's more expensive or is private or is on a government aircraft, I have no problem with it. They're representing the United States in different capacity. However much I hate what Kash Patel is doing or Kristi Noem, that principle is one I'm fine with in general. You don't want to go overboard. But I think that reminding ourselves of if you just switch some of the names in these headlines, how the reaction would be different is what gets me wound up about this. And jealousy. Speaking of money going in all different directions, something the government is paying for is Kristi Noem getting some new jets. Coast Guard buys 2 private jets for Noem, costing $172 million. Department of Homeland Security has contracted to purchase a pair of top-of-the-line Gulfstream jets. Can you pull up a Gulfstream private jet? And can we just sort of just have a moment with it? But here's the thing that bothers me. I'm not one of those people who you can throw a number at and say, this elected official, taxpayers are going to spend X dollars for, oh, baby. Oh, baby. So podcast listeners, in this flashback of the bonus show, this is the part where Jaden put up a photo of this jet, the aforementioned Gulfstream jet, and I start having difficulty handling myself. You know when an inanimate object makes you feel some type of way? Yeah, that's what's happening. Imagine never having to fly commercial again and just hopping into that. Just hopping into it. Just look at it. I feel like I would get backlash even if I could, which I can't, but if at some point I could afford to fly private consistently, or like if a buddy wanted, if like a rich buddy, if George Soros was like, Luke, you want to come on my plane? I feel like people would get mad at me because there are real emissions issues and out of touch issues, of course. but I never have, and I wanna so bad. I heard someone I knew did, and they explained it to me. And like they got out, and there's just an SUV on the tarmac. You just walk off the stairs and you get into an SUV, and then they take you where you're going. Want it? So I just say that to be honest. I want to be honest because I don't like when some people go, ugh, how could you ever wanna? No, we all get wanna. We get the wanna urge. It's just do you. And I don't think it's wrong to ever like people get mad at Bernie, but that's probably more logistically effective to make sure you don't have to lock down the whole airport to get Bernie through than actually flying him commercial. How Joe Biden flies commercial sometimes, I don't know. I don't even know how they do that. I feel like it's more of a PR thing than logistically sound or even cost effective. But anyways, all that's to say, I'm jealous. And by putting out my jealousy, I think it allows me to then actually be critical of Kristi Noem, but it be for the right reasons and not me secretly just jelly that she gets to fly around in private jets and a Gulfstream airliner. But so that's a little bit of the take. And then I will skip forward because I remember we talked about a different time that Pete Buttigieg got grilled over this. He was constantly being grilled over it, and there was no scandal there. So for them now to be silent is just the epitome of a lack of a consistent principle on this. And yes, in this time where Trump's saying, despite now we're learning this not actually being true, that we don't have funds for SNAP because of the shutdown, not true. But we may have to cut off SNAP benefits, using it as a pressure point to put pressure on Democrats. Then we're seeing this ballroom constructed. I get it. His wealthy buddies are donating. That's a whole different problem in of itself. People getting favors or getting Trump to like them more by funding his ballroom. And the Kash Patel flying bougie wherever he wants to go. It's more just imagery problems for sure, along with the hypocrisy. But just to make you even more mad, this is what was happening to the Biden administration about flying private.
Including private flights. How often do you take private flights?
So I assume by private flights you mean the use of government aircraft assigned to my agency, and I knew this might come up, so I brought some numbers. Since getting this job, I have taken 600, these are estimates, give or take a couple, but I've taken 638 flights.
And any of those commercial?
Say about
Any
that?
of those commercial?
607 of them were commercial, 10 of them were on military aircraft such as Air Force One, and 21 of them were on FAA aircraft, representing about 3% of the flights.
What was there was a freedom of information.
So just a brutal clap back, as they call it. And so that kind of fell apart, but it really would be something they tried to make into a scandal. And it does remind me of the Hunter Biden stuff, how much they would fixate on it. And now they have just no interest, zero, in children of presidents benefiting off of the relationship in a much more direct way, and the president benefiting off of being president. That's what Kash is up to. But then you kind of think to yourself, all right, now that Pandora's box has been open of what could be some waste, is anyone wasting their time? Time theft? You've ever heard of time theft? Heard about it in the office? You're supposed to be working, you're getting paid to work, and you're not working, then you're stealing the company's money. In this case, it's the government. Because I'm concerned that J.D. Vance is doing some time theft. I don't think he's working very hard. Listen to this interviewer, our favorite, Miranda Devine, asking him, so what is it that you do? And he takes a bunch of shots at Kamala Harris. Listen if you can hear one example of what he does.
Ourselves.
So what does a vice president actually do? Because we know Kamala Harris did nothing.
Kamala? That's not even the common mispronunciation. Miranda. Now I have to call you that out of self-defense. Kamala defense.
Did nothing. Joe Biden traveled around the world.
Sometimes I'm envious of Kamala Harris.
Joe Biden grifted, we know. So, I mean, you seem to have a lot of different hats that you wear. What So there's a lot of foreign policy.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is the job is very dependent on the president of the United States, right? And so if you have the trust of the president and he actually gives you a lot to do, then there's a whole lot to do. And that's how I found the job so far, is that there's nothing where I've wanted to get involved in where the president has said no. And a lot of times, if there's something important the president cares about, he'll call me, or if I'm in the room, he'll say, JD, you take care of this. You make sure that this gets done. And that's how I found myself in Jerusalem about a week ago. But to answer your question, I mean, I think the reason why I've been able to do a lot is because the president.
Okay, there was a cut there. Let's see. Take this down. Who edited this? Okay, it was a liberal account, so I don't know who. I don't know if they cut out a long list he may have given there. So I do want to caveat that we're all in the interest of transparency. I saw a cut. Maybe that was where he gave a long laundry list. The only thing I heard so far is he took a trip once. Okay.
President trusts me, and he's empowered me with a lot of responsibilities. And it's made the job a lot of fun. I mean, as much as I joke about, I kind of wish that I could sleep until 1 o'clock, take a couple of phone calls, and then hit the bottle after that, which I think was the Kamala Harris approach to being vice president. It would be really boring, and we have a lot of fun. We do a lot of good work because the president trusts me.
I don't really. Again, maybe in that gap he said everything. I apologize if I missed it. I don't care that much about this story, but I think there's a good chance he didn't. So I didn't hear a specific thing other than he took a trip. And I actually, now that I think of it, I remember times when Biden would go, and we're not going to talk about one of the examples, which is not, okay? Oh, the border stuff. Shut up. When Biden would say, hey, Kamala, you're going to be which, side note, really, Joe? Really? There was a chance she was going to try to be your heir apparent, and you gave her the border stuff? She wasn't the border czar, but she was putting responsibility of like root cause type stuff. That's brutal. Anyways, that was a side thought. But I remember there were times Kamala was going to do this. She also didn't hear a ton from her, but there would be. I actually haven't heard. What is JD's thing? Can you think of? I can't think of what JD's supposed to be doing. He's just kind of around sometimes. Sometimes he'll pop in to scream at Zelensky. He'll be in a group chat that gets leaked. But I don't really know what it is that. And that's kind of the vice presidency in a nutshell. You're there if something happens to the president. It's not like you have official duties. The Senate, you oversee the Senate. In some capacity, you make tie-breaking votes, but mostly just go around and give speeches and do interviews, and he's done a lot of podcasts. And he says, though, he's so busy that he still hasn't gotten to the bottom of aliens.
Nah.
One last question about UFOs. So I'm a mad UFO lunatic as well. Yeah. So, and you said, I think the Ruthless podcast, that you were going to, in August, you were going to figure out what happened. So have you
was a little tongue in cheek. I have not figured it out yet. Right. I haven't had the time to figure it out yet.
But you've got access to all this.
I do. And I really want to sort of dig into it. Marco's actually very interested in this too. We talked about this talked about this back in our Senate days. So there's certainly an interest there. There's certainly an intrigue, but I haven't yet had the time to really dig in. Things have been so busy, but this is the crazy person inside of me. And there's, all of us put the tinfoil hat on from time to time. I can't allow myself to become so busy that I spend the next 3 years and I don't get to the bottom of this. So I will get to the bottom of this, but it's going to take me a little time.
Because Tulsi Gabbard says that she believes there are aliens. Do you believe that?
Well, if Tulsi Gabbard says it.
I don't, it's interesting. I wouldn't say that I do or don't believe it. I mean, I'm a big believer that there are things out there that we can't explain. And so if another person sees an alien, maybe I see an angel or a demon. Nah.
Okay. All right. Then what the hell are the angels doing? Why are they flying around little blobs, not doing the things that would be what? Okay, whatever. He's so busy that he hasn't had time to get to the bottom of aliens, but he will, or UFOs, I should say, but he will. And y'all know my stance on that. Interesting. What are they? Can never care. Should, maybe, won't. Can. Don't. Should. Shan't. Just quoting The Office again. This is getting out of hand.